Hey, what's in Madrid here doing another astrology reading for Alevan1. So, born 62 July. Now, that makes you 7386. Tiger in the Chinese zodiac, and you're Cancer in the Western horoscopes. So, firstly, your rising sign is in Capricorn. This makes you someone who's more serious on when people first meet you. You have a more methodical approach to life, and you don't like to stumble into things unprepared. Your sun sign is in Cancer. Now, Cancer is quite a caring sort of sign. It makes you someone who's interested in raising a family, makes you someone who quite enjoys taking care of other people, makes you someone who's very nice to be around, and you probably like to keep a nice home environment, and you're very protective of your friends and family. Your moon is in Pisces, so having moon in Pisces adds a lot of sensitivity to your character. When people meet you, they might think you're a little bit cold or a little bit hard, a little bit unsociable, but you're very attuned to how people feel. You're very intuitive, and you have a lot of empathy and sympathy towards a lot of people. Like, you're easily moved, you feel a lot of emotion, and people tend to affect you a lot more than they might other people. So when someone's in a good mood or a bad mood, it might play a lot larger role in how you feel than it might someone else. So you pick up on how other people feel, and yeah, it affects how you feel as well. After the moon, we have Mercury. So your Mercury is in Cancer. Now, Mercury generally governs your mind and how your brain functions on a more basic level. So, having Mercury in Cancer might make you more emotional. You might not be particularly logical at times. You might be very good at taking care of people or understanding their needs, but when it comes to solving practical problems or things which are very sort of detached, or mathematics, things like that, you probably struggle with a little bit more. Maybe things, regarding strategy or things which require you to be very logical and detached, you might struggle some more with. After Mercury, we have Venus. So your Venus is in Virgo. Now, having Venus in Virgo gives you more of an uptight sort of nature. You will be less affectionate and less showy in your relationships with your partner. You might seem a little bit despondent or a little bit cold. You're more analytical when it comes to relationships. Like, you tend to think a lot about what makes it work, what makes it not work, and you might have a tendency to be very critical of your partner. Like, you might, and critical of yourself as well. So you'll find yourself criticizing them, and you'll find yourself criticizing yourself also. You might also, because of that criticism, be very into being healthy, staying fit, exercising, that sort of thing. And yeah, when it comes to money, you're also very careful with your money. You don't like to splurge it. You don't like to spend it on silly things. You probably find yourself being mixed between being very frugal and being very into impulse shopping. So you like to spend money impulsively, but then on the other hand, you're also very frugal. So you might find you have that conflicting in your personality. After that, we have Mars. So your Mars is in Gemini. Now, Mars is all about your masculinity, how assertive you are, how aggressive you are, how urgent you are, like your drive, your spirit, and yeah, how forward you are as a person. So having Mars in Gemini gives you quite a vocal sort of anger. So when you become aggressive or angry, you do so by, saying mean things or saying harsh things, and you tend to get angry by, yeah, speaking out to people or telling people off, that sort of thing. After Mars, we have Jupiter. So your Jupiter is in Pisces. Now, this might give you a bit of a more laid-back nature when it comes to things like career, things like religion, or what you want when it comes to your long-term life. You might find yourself being more go with the flow, live in the moment, see what happens later on, sort of thing. And yeah, that could be attributed to having Jupiter in Pisces. On the other hand, you might also be into business. You might run a business or work in a company, and yeah, it's just might be something that you find yourself doing career-wise. Your Saturn is in Aquarius, so Saturn has to do with things like how stern you are, has to do with things like self-discipline, and you might find yourself being very morally idealistic, as in you have very high standards for people and for morals, and you value structure, and yeah, when you meet people who don't have the same sort of ideas or that sort of structure in life, you might be sort of unreceptive to them. You might judge them. You prefer order, you prefer system, and yeah, structure. And lastly, I want to talk about your Pluto. So your Pluto is also in Virgo. Now, Pluto has to do with sex and death. So when it comes to these things, you might be more reserved and be a bit more uptight because your Pluto is in Virgo. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions, and I hope you enjoyed your reading.